Today we're going to do some work with absolute value inequalities. So what that again means, I have greater than, less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal. So just like equations, we found out, well, you're really getting two answers. Well, two with inequalities means it's not a simple inequality, it's a compound inequality where I'm either going to have a between, which is an and, or an or. Now, just to give you an idea of this, so let's say I say, okay, I want the absolute value of a number to be less than 3. Well, that means I need a number that's less than 3 spaces from 0. Well, the obvious is, hey, 1, 2, now you can't forget about like 2.9, 2.99, 2.9999999. It just can't be 3. So that's really talking about those numbers. But what about -1? What's the absolute value of -1? That's 1 spot. The absolute value of -2, that's 2 spots. The absolute value of -3, well, -2.99999 would have a value less than 3 if I took the absolute value of it. So what happened there is all those numbers work. Well, those are numbers from -3 to 3. So that became a between. Well, if I look at this, I want the absolute value to be bigger or equal to 5. Well, what kind of numbers could I put in there? I can't put 2. I can't put 3. I could put 5. I could put 6, 6.5, 5.1. I could put any number bigger or equal to 5. But if I think the other way, if I put in -5, the absolute value of that is 5. If I put in -6, the absolute value of that is 6. So I could use any number less than or equal to -5. We think of that, x is greater than or equal to 5, or x is less than or equal to -5. So when it was greater than, it became an or. That's really what we're going to see. Less than, absolute value, is a between. Greater than, and these can all be or equal to, is an or. So this is really what we want to, again, sort of think of a flow chart. You're solving absolute value inequalities. The first step is always get it on a side by itself. No distributing. If there's a number in front of your bars, you would divide. So once it's by itself, well, now I have to look at what the sign is. If it's less than or equal, it's going to be a between. If it's greater than or equal, it's going to be an or. Now, what would that mean? How do I set it up? If it's less than or equal, how do you set it up? It's going to be a compound between inequality. You're going to write ax plus b less than or equal to c, or less than c. You're going to use that same inequality sign to the left. And instead of having c on the left, you're going to have negative c. And then what are you going to do? Solve. And remember, with a between, you work from the middle to get x alone. So what am I going to do if it's greater than? If it's greater than or greater than or equal, I have an or. An or is two inequalities. So the first one is just what you see. Ax plus b is greater than or equal to c. Or ax plus b, switch the inequality sign, greater than becomes a less than, switch c to negative c. And remember, with that, you solve each one separately. So your answer is going to be a compound inequality. So 2 quick examples. You know, the big thing and this is, I'm not a big memorized teacher, but you really have to memorize. If it's greater or less than and think of how you set it up. So you look at this first example. Absolute value is alone. It's greater than the absolute value. So it's an or. 4x plus 5 is greater than 13, or 4x plus 5 is less than negative 13. Go ahead, solve. 4x is greater than 8. Divide by 4. X is greater than 2 is part of your answer. Or subtract 5. 4x is less than negative 18. And with all of this, anytime you divide by a negative, make sure you would switch your sign. So there's my other part. Now you think of this on a number line, like the graph. There's 2, greater than 2. Negative 4.5, less than, and or is opposite directions on a number line. And you could check, like I could pick 5. 5 would work. I could pick negative 100 and plug it in. It would work. Remember that there's lots and lots of solutions. So last one, 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 9. Absolute value is alone. I look and I see the absolute value is less than. Less than is a between. So how do I set up my equation? 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 9. A between, the x has to be in the middle. I take the same inequality sign. Negative 9 over here. Then remember, I work from the middle. Subtract 1, subtract 1, subtract 1. So I have negative 10, 2x, 8. I'm working from the middle. Divide by 2, both sides. And I have x's between negative 5 and 4. On a number line, that means any number between negative 5 and 4 would work if I plugged it into the equation. inequality. So that is inequalities. Tomorrow we'll go more through this. Again, you have a couple questions, more than a couple, but you have some questions on delta math. Bring any questions you have tomorrow. We'll see you live tomorrow.